Try every day. Just wake up and give it 100%.
Welcome to Agency for Change, a podcast from KidGlov that brings you the stories of change makers who are actively working to improve our communities. In every episode, we'll meet with people who are making a lasting impact in the places we call home.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Agency for Change podcast. This is Lynn Weinman, President and Chief Strategist of KidGlov. So, does anybody remember how hard it was to be a teenager? It wasn't easy. Very few of us would go back to those years. And today we are shining a light on someone who is making such a huge difference for high school students in Southern Nevada. We are talking with Kelli Kristo. She's the executive director of Project 150. This is an organization that provides hope, resources, and opportunity to homeless, displaced, and disadvantaged teens. I'm excited to share her inspiring work and the impact she and her team are making every single day. Kelli, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. This is exciting.
It is exciting. As I was getting ready for this episode, I really loved researching Project 150 and learning about the work that you're doing. Could we start by having you give us an overview of Project 150?
Absolutely. So, Project 150 started 14 years ago, basically off of a news story that featured 150 homeless high school students at a local high school here in Southern Nevada.
Wow.
So, hence the name 150. So, Project 150. And the news story just highlighted these students not having access to resources and basic necessities over the winter break. So basically, some of our local businessmen gathered some gift cards and clothes and things and took them down to the school to help these students. And then there was some dialogue that this was not just a problem at one high school, but a problem in all of our high schools. And so we call ourselves the accidental charity for that reason,
I
because I
love
don't
it.
think that we ever planned on being here past that. Right. And so, fast forward 14 years, here we are. We're serving over 7,000 high school students a year at
Wow.
all 75 local high schools. We have two buildings here in Southern Nevada, and then we have one up in Reno as well.
Kelli, wow. All I can say is wow. I mean, there have been many times I think I'm going to just project this to all of our listeners. Many times where we have heard or read or seen a news story and thought, "Oh my goodness, something needs to be done." And at Project 150, you raised your hand and got started, but you didn't just get started, you kept going for 14 years. What kept you going for 14 years?
The need, obviously, first and foremost, when we realized that the need was so great within the district, it was more than anyone could take on. I mean, just the district alone. Counselors, social workers, teachers, and principals, their job is to educate and
Yes.
and do all the things within the school, right? But it's really hard for a high school student to go to school or get an education when they're focused on not having the right clothes, no hygiene product to take a shower, size too big, too small, hand-me-downs. So that's where we stepped in and we're like, listen, we'll work with the district hand in hand. You focus on educating the children and the students, and we'll come in and offer these resources to them for free to encourage them to continue to go to school. For many of these kids, high school is the place where they get their food, their
Yes.
hygiene, and their basic necessities. I mean, literally, that's what keeps them going every day.
Right. Right. So, Kelli, I'm curious, talk us through a day in the life at Project 150. How does your team deliver these services and what does it look like?
So we have two components going on in our facility. One part of it is the prep work, right? So making the family meal bags that get distributed every week to the high schools, sorting the donations of clothing that come in from the community to put those then in the boutique to give them a second chance with a high school student. And then the other side being the boutique where the students come in and access the clothing boutique every day. I mean, there's 60, 75 kids a day in
Wow.
the boutique getting free clothing and hygiene and food. I mean, daily. We're open year round. So it's not just during the academic year, it's all year long.
Yeah, yeah. I love that too, that you have a boutique. The kids can come pick out what they want because that is a thing. I mean, teenagers are very conscious of how they look, right? And so having a boutique where they can come pick out something that's their style seems like that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think that's the best part. You're a teenager and that's the part you look forward to is picking out your own clothing, finding your style, figuring out who you are. I mean, you're at an age where you're kind of in between. You're not yet an adult, but you're no longer a child either. So I feel like this is a really great opportunity for them to learn independence here when they're in the boutique, a little bit of autonomy, learning to pick out and shop for yourself because soon enough you'll be doing it. So we want them to have the skill set to be able to do it.
Right, right. You need some practice in that area. So I'm really curious then, Kelly, how did your journey lead you to this place, right? Like I can feel that spunk and feistiness in you. Like were you on the playground as a kid saying, I'm gonna make the world a better place? I can imagine that having only just met you.
Oh, I wish I was the kid that said that. No, I've just always had something about me where I just felt like it's important to help other people, right? And I didn't know what that meant until I landed in the nonprofit sector. So
Yeah.
I've worked in corporate America. I know what it's like to make other people rich and all that fun stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then I just looked at a different side of things and I realized that if we work with a young population like teenagers, they're still
Yeah.
impressionable, they're still moldable, and especially the ones that are at a disadvantage, right? That maybe don't have a role model at home or aren't getting the best support at home. If we can help those kids, the world itself would just be a better place. I mean, you're really
Absolutely.
making an impact with the masses. And when you look at who they're going to become, they're going to be the ones that are taking care of us.
That's true, right? All of us who are 40 or older, in my age, 50 or older, we need to really be thinking about this younger generation, right? We need to
Yeah.
be paying it forward. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that and making sure they're equipped with the right skills to do
Yes.
so because we're in their hands at the end of the day, you
I
know?
love it. I love it. Many of us are very selfless, but for those of us that need that added motivation, here it is. I love it. I love it. So, Kelly, let's talk a little bit more about the why. What is the why behind this work that really inspires you and the rest of the team?
My why is because I've seen students come to us their freshman year in high
Mm.
school. I've watched them graduate high school. I've watched them receive a scholarship to college from us and watched them graduate from college. I've
Oh,
seen them
wow.
start their families and break the cycle that they've been used to. And that's my why. I just saw one do it. And then after I saw one, I saw another and another. And I just thought, this is the reason why we wake up every morning and we come to work. I mean, there's only 8 of us here. So
Yeah, wow. That's a lot of work for 8 people, and I'm gonna say too, because this is a podcast, people are listening, they don't get to see your face like I do, but as you talked about your why, Kelly, your face really lit up, and I love that about nonprofit leaders who are really into the work. I'm really curious, as you look ahead, how do you see Project 150 evolving to meet the continuing changing needs of youth in the area?
I think that's something we're tackling every day. Our goal and always on, the top of my mind is we meet students where they are. And
Yeah.
because no two students are alike, their situations aren't alike, it's hard to say where we go or how we plan for the future. I take one day at a time. And with
Yeah.
whatever situation walks through the door, I feel like that's the only way we can operate because if I offer just the same program to everybody, that doesn't work, and we're not making an impact then. If we address each person's situation as unique as they are, I feel like we've got a better shot at fixing some of the issues that we're presented with here every day.
Absolutely. It sounds like you're really focusing on the humanity of the situation, which I think has got to make the work extremely powerful and also extremely rewarding, as you have mentioned. So, Kelly, my next question for you that I'd really like to ask. So, let's say someone's listening, they hear your story about hearing a new story, jumping in, making it happen. 14 years later, here you are. For those who would like to support young people in their own communities or get involved in this level of support, what would you recommend?
I think it's always really important for people to have dialogue with the population they want to serve at the very base, right? So it's super easy for people to pop up a nonprofit overnight and say, I'm going to serve these people and these are the programs I'm going to offer, right? But if you haven't polled or surveyed any of the population
Mm,
to ask them, what do you need from us? It doesn't work. But if you
right.
sit down and have that dialogue with the people you plan on serving, I think that's the best way forward. You know how to meet them where they are. And like I said, here, and I know from past experience at other nonprofits, no two people are alike and no two situations are alike. So to just tailor a program for the masses, you're not helping the masses. Everybody that
Right.
walks in our door here has a
Yeah.
different story from the very next person that's going to
Mhm.
walk in, you
I
know?
love it. I bet, Kelly, over the 14 years, you've heard a lot of stories or seen a lot of stories. And I don't want you to share any names or any specifics, but are there any stories that particularly touch you?
Oh my gosh, there's a ton. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
I I've had kids that were, left behind by their parents,
Mm,
and you're talking 13, 14, 15 years old, left with a grandparent, right?
yeah.
And a grandparent, eh, senior,
Yeah.
passes away. This
Oh,
child just became the head of household to their siblings with no income, no
yeah.
job,
As
no
a
education,
13-year
right? And
old, right?
so,
Yeah.
right. I mean, and so to me, it's mind-boggling that that could even happen.
Right.
But I've seen it over and over that parents think it's wise decision to leave the child enrolled in school instead of taking them out and moving back to
Mm,
where they came from,
mm,
which is really a mind-boggling thing
yeah.
scenario to hear or
Right.
see because most people would be like, I'm taking my kid with me,
Right. Absolutely.
but it doesn't happen. And, I mean, those are stories that I know when we've heard them and we've helped, I've always seen that student come back in and thank us later.
Mm,
And so, thanks for being our support system. Thanks for helping me and my siblings get through this. And, we really were their lifeline when they had no one else.
yeah. Yeah. Kelly, for people who are listening to this feeling incredibly inspired, maybe wanting to send a donation or connect with you, what's the best way for people to find more about Project 150?
Oh, it's easy to find us. We're all over the internet.
Nice.
Project150.org is probably the best place to start to get information on us, how to volunteer, what our wish list is for critical needs at this particular time or any time during the seasons. And then also just we share our impact. So it's
Yeah.
super important for us to share. We just published our 2025 impact report and the numbers are huge. I mean, over 11,944 students walked through our boutiques for free stuff this school year. That's incredible. We only serve high school students. So that's a huge number when you look at that. So I think that, our website's a great place to start if you wanted to make a financial contribution to support any of the programs or services that we offer. That's always welcome. And then come to our events. We're a fun group
Mm,
of people. We have a good time. I can tell you that.
I believe that. You just have that vibe that would be a really fun event, whatever it is. Yeah.
Whether it's our annual fall party, we host a prom closet for the kids every
Mm,
year. We're always looking for volunteers. So we love new faces. We love new people to come in and check us out and do a tour. I mean, that's free. Come in and check us out.
I love that. Kelly, KidGlov has published a book on branding called Untangling Spaghetti. It's a branding fable. And we have decided that in honor of Project 150, we're going to donate all of our book proceeds in the month of January 2026. So we'd like to do that for you. And we appreciate you sharing your story on the podcast because it is truly a great story. As a matter of fact, I'm going to ask you my favorite question next, Kelly. We're going to switch gears a little bit. Our listeners know that I am inspired by motivational quotes. You are an inspiring person. I would like a Kelli Kristo original for our listeners.
I don't know that I have an original, but I tell the students every day that come in here, try every day, just wake up and give it 100%. I know life is challenging for you, but if you just wake up and promise you're going to give it 100%, that's the best you could do. I mean, it might not always work, but I tell you, sometimes I watch these students walk in here and they are just at their lowest. But to watch them receive clothing or just shampoo and body wash, they walk out with a smile.
Oh,
So to me, it's all worth it.
I love it. I think that's good advice for all of us. Wake up every day and promise you're going to give it 100%.
Always.
I love it. I love it. Kelli, as we bring this fun conversation to a close, I'd love to hear what is the most important thing you would like our listeners to remember about the work that you're doing?
I think the most important thing to take away from this is when we think about homeless, population, we're forgetting that there's a homeless youth
Mm,
population. There are children that are
yeah.
13, 14, 15 that are living on their own, trying to figure out life. And especially in a city
Yeah.
like Las Vegas, it's
Yeah.
not easy.
Yeah. Great, great message. Great message. Kelli, I fully believe the world needs more people like you, more organizations like Project 150. Thank you, thank you, thank you for the work that you're doing and for spending some time with us today.
Well, thanks so much for having me. Thanks for the proceeds from the book, too. That's incredible. What a surprise.
Absolutely. That will be fun to do. We're glad, glad, glad to do it, Kelli.
We hope you enjoyed today's Agency for Change podcast. To hear all our interviews with those who are making a positive change in our communities, or to nominate a changemaker you'd love to hear from, visit KidGlov.com at KIDGLOV.com to get in touch. As always, if you like what you've heard today, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and share. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.